Good evening. I will call this meeting to order. In the spirit of truth and reconciliation, we acknowledge the town of Edson is located on Treaty 6 territory, the traditional and ancestral lands of the Nikawak, Saulteaux, Siksika, Piikani, Kainai, Dene, Nakota Sioux, and the Otipitsumuwak Métis Nations. We honor the knowledge of this land, the elders and youth which gather here, and our ancestors who have gathered here for centuries. Can I get a motion, please, to accept the agenda for the November 4th, 2025 regular meeting of council? Go ahead, Councillor Schramm.
Yeah, I move that the agenda for the November 4th, 2025 regular meeting of council be adopted as presented.
Thank you. Any questions, comments, or concerns? Seeing none, all those in favor? That motion is carried unanimously. Can I get a motion for the minutes of the October 28th, 2025 organizational meeting of council? Go ahead, Councillor Holtman.
I move that the minutes of the October 28th, 2025 organizational meeting of council be adopted as presented.
Thank you. Any questions, comments, or concern with said minutes? Seeing none, all those in favor? That motion is carried unanimously. Can I get a motion, please, for the minutes of the October 28th, 2025 meeting? Go ahead, Councillor Wilson-Lear.
I move that the minutes of the October 28th, 2025 organizational meeting of council be adopted as presented.
I believe you mean the regular meeting of council?
Yes, the regular meeting of council be adopted as presented.
Thank you. Any questions, comments, or concerns? Seeing none, all those in favor? That motion is carried unanimously. We have no public hearings, no presentations and delegations, no bylaws. We do have some business items tonight. First, we are going to go to our Transportation and Parks Manager, Ryan O'Sullivan, with the storm sewer condition assessment, along with our consultant, Matt Delaney. We'll hand things over to Mr. O'Sullivan.
Thank you. Good evening, Council and Mayor. I'd like to introduce Jeff Edmonston. He's from McElhaney Engineering. They have produced the stormwater sewer condition assessment and will be presenting tonight. Jeff, all yours.
Thank you, Ryan. All right, I'll get right into it. So, Ryan's already introduced me, so we can skip that slide. But yeah, so for today's presentation, what we have on the agenda, we have these following items. There's the purpose of the master plan and the scope.
Your slides aren't sharing to us.
Oh, classic. Here, hold on. Okay. Where is the share button? There we are. Okay. I think I got it right. There we are. Everyone can see my screen now?
Yes, we can. If you can make it larger.
I'm just gonna swap this one with the other one. Ugh. Boy, this is a struggle. Sorry, everyone.
There we go. That's good.
Oh, it's this. To be honest, what's happening on here is a bit of a mystery to me. So you can see it now?
Yes, we see methodology and design criteria on our screen.
Okay, and it's full size?
Not right now. It's not. It was.
And no, it's showing in presenter mode.
How do I expand it? To be honest, I don't use PowerPoint that regularly. I have another screen here. I'm gonna see if, but it's not letting me. Actually, I'm just gonna share the other screen. I think I see what I need to do. How's that?
We have a hard. Oh, there we go. That's good.
Perfect. Okay, I'm gonna go back to slide 2. Apologies, everybody. Yeah, so on the agenda today, we have the purpose of the master plan and the scope. the methodology and design criteria, the existing system performance, proposed system upgrades, future development strategy, asset condition and repairs, capital costs and next steps. So moving right into it. So why was the work initiated? So there was a previous stormwater master plan that was done in 2005. It's so in addition to its age, it's a bit old. The methodology that was used to create it was also old. It used kind of more early spreadsheet modeling. And then in addition to that, it kind of had limited scope where they didn't look at the future development. And so the town had a desire to update this to use modern computational methods and then also to capture what had happened since 2005 and also plan properly for future development. And so that was one part of it. The next is that there were large storms in 2022 and 2023 that caused kind of widespread infrastructure damage within the town. And so it was part of planning for the future would be to evaluate what those storms would look like or properly plan for those storms in a stormwater master plan. And so the good news from kind of before I get even farther into it, the good news is that your system's actually in very good shape. A couple years ago, I presented on the sanitary plan, and the sanitary system was not in good shape. So it's kind of nice to come here and deliver a bit better news. There's still some recommendations for upgrades going forward, but there's nothing really high priority. So that's very good news from a kind of a budgeting perspective. And so I'll kind of go through our findings and describe that work. Moving on to the next page. So what did we do? We built a model, and we built what's called a dual drainage model. So for your stormwater system, you have a couple different components. You have kind of your overland drainage system, and then you have your underground pipe system, and then some storage facilities. And so the way we built our model is it incorporates all those elements, and so it describes how they interact, and so it more accurately represents what's actually going on in your system. And so the real benefit of that is the recommendations are better, and so you're not over exaggerating or under exaggerating your problems, and which has direct budget implications. Another thing that we did was we verified expected release rates. I'll discuss that in an upcoming slide. We identified where there's capacity issues in the system. We looked at future growth strategies. I'll also discuss that further coming up. And then lastly, we came up with some cost estimating and capital planning to help guide and inform future development. So moving on to the next slide, these were the growth horizons that we used to develop the future development strategy. So you can see there's residential development to the north, there's some commercial development to the west, and then lastly, some industrial development has been identified to the south. And that's just to kind of give some context. I'll describe the future development planning kind of in a later slide here. This is the more sciencey part of it, so it might not, I'll try to go through it kind of quickly. But in general, for the terms I'm going to be using, you have your minor system, which is your 1 in 5 year storm. So that's kind of more of a typical storm that you'd be used to seeing semi-regularly. And so generally for that, what you want to see is that your pipe system is performing well. And then on the other side of it, we have what's called the major system, and that's a 100-year storm. And so when we look at that, we want to make sure that there's no property damage. And so this is a very important analysis from a risk perspective to make sure that we don't see any flooding damage. The storage, that's just how we evaluated what is the requirements for your ponds, not as important. I discussed the dual drainage model. And then one of the types of analysis we did what's called a flood frequency analysis. And so you have a couple different water courses running through your town. There's 3 different ones. And so what we do is we look at similar water bodies, and then we identify what's called a release rate based on kind of pre-existing conditions. And so that just dictates how your new ponds are being built. And so that's generally something we recommend being incorporated into the bylaws for future development. Just make sure that yeah, that's being captured accurately. So that's just design criteria intended to help guide the development of the future ponds. So that's just kind of the general design criteria. I'd get through that quickly. So the first type of analysis, or the first analysis we did, was we looked at your minor system performance. So how's your pipe system holding up? There were segments identified across the town that don't meet your design criteria. But to be honest, we consider those low priority. Generally, people are happy as long as there's positive drainage and water isn't sitting in the streets for a long period of time after a storm. So there's no need to go and just upsize all this pipe right away. It's just what we recommend instead is that on an ongoing basis, as you're doing renewal projects, whether it be water, sanitary, road, that these pipes are looked at as part of those projects. So when they go to do those projects, you just upsize the pipe at that time, and that really helps project economy and limiting your cost to kind of update this to your design criteria. And so in addition to that, we also identified flat sections throughout the town. This is very common in Alberta, and to be honest, Edson is doing just fine in comparison. But there's flat sections throughout the town, and so you just want to make sure that you're flushing those pipes, or at least checking up on them on a semi-regular basis, just because if they're flat, you can have garbage depositing at the bottom of the pipe, causing a plug, and then when there's a storm, all of a sudden you have water backing up. So you just want to be kind of aware of that. And so we have identified those areas and for ongoing observation and for ongoing flushing. So for the major system, this is kind of the best news of this whole assessment is we didn't really see anything that's a major risk. Because Edson has those 3 water bodies going through the town, you have a lot of access to convenient discharge points. And so it prevents, it makes your stormwater solutions a lot more simple and straightforward. We found one area that's like a little bit of an area of concern, but my initial review of the grading around the site would suggest it's probably not a problem. We just kind of want to take a closer look. But in general, there's not a whole lot of low areas where water can pond and potentially create an issue if there's something funny going on. So really good news from both a risk perspective and from a budgeting perspective. So that's good news to be able to give. These are the undersized pipes throughout the town. So we've summarized these in a map, and then we've also summarized them in a cost spreadsheet. But these are, again, just meant to be incorporated into future renewal projects. And so just when you go to do those projects, just make sure that you look at these maps and make sure that you're taking opportunities to upgrade those pipes at the right time when it's convenient and when it's most cost effective. So it just requires a little bit of ongoing coordination and helps really keep costs down. On the future development side of it, so we kind of have 3 different types of zoning. We have residential, commercial, industrial. So for the residential, generally what is done is to build a stormwater management facility or a pond at the low point in the system. And so you're kind of minimizing the grading that needs to take place on site in order to develop the site properly. And the other thing is you really want to limit the number of ponds. If you can have one single large pond, it's a lot more cost effective than a bunch of smaller ones. And so when we decide where to put these ponds, we're looking at kind of minimizing the number of ponds and then also taking advantage of grading. And so we've come up with this map showing where we think you need to put ponds in order to develop these sites. And so that's kind of what we've got for residential. On the commercial side, you have 2 options. You can build a pond, but that requires a level of coordination with the different kind of developers, or you can require that the developers have on-site stormwater storage. So whether they build a stormwater pond on their site or whether they put underground tanks on their site, just put that requirement right onto the developer. You can have a pond set up, and then you kind of have an offsite levy where but that requires a level of coordination and making sure that the developers are on board. So when they would go to develop, they would just pay into that fund in order to get that pond there. But the benefit is generally a little more cost effective, but requires some more coordination. And then for industrial, so this south area here, just because of the nature of industrial development, sometimes there's contaminated runoff. We don't really know what the sites are going to be used for. Most often we require on-site stormwater control. And so there's not a whole lot planning other than to incorporate that into the bylaw, make sure that that's required for future development. So that's kind of the discussion on how we set up the future development strategy. So this is really just intended to be consulted and looked at when the town's deciding to move forward with developing these areas. Another thing that we did is the town has a CCTV library where they have kind of looked at different pipe throughout the town. And so there's areas identified where there's deficiencies in the pipe. So we've just taken a couple of pictures of the really bad ones, just to make things a little more interesting. It's entirely possible some of these have already been done, but we've identified in a map the different areas that or the different pipe that we've identified as high priority. This is based off of the CCTV that is available to date. So in order to complete this work, the town would have to keep moving forward with doing CCTV for the entire town, but it's good information to get started. And then moving forward, obviously, you would want to keep moving forward with the CCTV program to find out if there's more problems within the system. So that was another thing that we did. These are kind of rough costs for the pipe upgrades. And so the thing about these costs is because we've recommended that these projects be folded into other renewal projects, this is just the pipe upgrade. It doesn't include road reinstatement. So this is meant to kind of help guide decision-making a little bit, but it's meant to be kind of reviewed in coordination with other renewal work. So just as a kind of a cautionary note there, but this is just here for general information and kind of have a little more context in the report itself. And then in addition to that, so there's also the repairs we've identified through the CCTV program where we identified those on a map. But that's really intended to be managed internally by the Town of Edson Operation and Maintenance Department. And so, it's not really going to be reflected in your budget because this is work that's already happening and can be handled in-house. And so that's costing that would probably be more reviewed internally by your operations and maintenance department. This is kind of rough costing for the future development for those ponds that we've identified. Again, just kind of high level information. Things change when you go to actually develop the site just because we don't know exactly how the site is going to be built out. So generally I have stormwater storage requirements, but the actual needs of the development would be more closely assessed at the time. This is really, just high level information to kind of give a little bit of context for costing and decision making. And these ponds wouldn't be required as capital plan priority projects. They're rather the ponds that are going to be that wouldn't be built as future development has progressed. All right, and then moving on to next steps coming from the stormwater capital plan here. So one is we've come up with these new release rates that aren't that different from the previous stormwater master plan, but should be updated because they have been revised a little bit. An additional next step is to do a little bit of flow monitoring to verify that our models, accurately representing what's going on in the town. Just because we use literature models or literature values and anecdotal evidence to support the model, and it's nice to get some additional verification. We discussed the ongoing sewer flushing for flat pipes, so just kind of coming up with a plan for that. Prioritizing the grade 5 repairs and the grade 4 repairs. So I'm not sure, it's entirely possible the town has already proceeded with some of those upgrades, or some of those repairs, but they should be reviewed with the town operations department just to make sure that they've been captured properly. And again, yeah, coordinating upgrades with other capital projects. So making sure that those undersized pipes are upgraded when the opportunity comes, just for project economy and limit costs. And then lastly, for these future stormwater management facilities, make sure that when you're planning for future development, you're incorporating that into the planning so you're not stuck with a plan that doesn't make sense within the stormwater management strategy. And I think I went through those points or these slides fairly quickly, so apologies if I kind of abbreviated a little too much or maybe used some unfamiliar terminology. But I guess if there are any questions, well, let me know and I'll see if I can answer them. And if not, I'll maybe spend a bit of time drafting up a response if there's nothing I can't answer right at the moment.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Amundson, for your detailed report. Council will open the floor to questions from our presenter here this evening. Who would like to start? Don't all go at once. We don't want to overwhelm the system. All right, Councillor Taylor, you're up.
Yeah, through the mayor to administration, just two questions. The first one is a couple years ago, there was a report from McElhaney on similar things, namely things like the B1 project. Is there crossover with this report and that report from a few years ago, or are they really two separate entities, one focusing on the presentation we see today and one focusing on more sort of bigger capital projects and that sort of thing?
The former report was sanitary.
Sanitary.
This is storm sewer, so they're separate.
They are two separate. Yeah. So then the second question is then to administration. Are we able to begin some of the sort of lower maintenance work as early as next year in terms of stuff that we can do in-house without drastically affecting budget or anything like that?
Go ahead, Mr.
Through the mayor to Councillor Taylor, absolutely. We're working on a maintenance plan at the moment, and we'll be tackling those as we can with our existing budget.
Thank you, Councillor Taylor. Councillor Schramm.
Yeah, through the mayor to administration. First and foremost, thanks for the presentation. The report was long overdue. 2005 to 25 was 20 years, so it's great. And it's great to see that the coordination of doing the storm work with other infrastructure projects makes so much sense. Couple questions, and again, you kind of already answered these for administration. I know in the report you say for the minor maintenance about a budget of $574,000 roughly. What is our current budget? Do we have a current budget already?
Through the mayor to Councillor Schramm. Yes, we do have a small repair budget for storm sewer, which we're going to be using for this. Anything bigger on the bigger items, we'll have to bring back for a council or budget adjustment.
Okay. And again, this one has already touched base a little bit already about the low slope flow sections where sediment can build up. And I'm going to just make the assumption you're going to work on a program to flush those out. If you can confirm that.
Through the mayor to Councillor Schramm, yes, we are. We'll be working with Jeff as well on putting smart covers to also check the flow rates as well.
Perfect. And one last thing, and again, wasn't covered in the report, just a little bit of a historical, it's the monitoring of our Bench Creek outfalls. In the past, as the creek levels have risen from forces like beaver dams in the back, some of those outfalls, even before a rain event, had some surcharging backwater. Just want to make sure that administration is monitoring that to make sure that doesn't happen again.
Through the mayor to Councillor Schramm. Yes, we do have a wildlife management plan as well to tackle the beaver issue in and around the town to make sure these creeks are flowing correctly.
Thank you for that. And just for council's awareness, new members of council, we usually just do one question and a follow-up, not a third, but we'll give you some lax on the first council meeting here. Go ahead, Councillor Fogarty.
Thank you. Through the mayor to administration, just a couple of questions, just for my own knowledge. Do we have a CCTV program that we use? Is that something that we get other companies to do for us, or is that something that we have people on staff who can do?
Through the mayor to Councillor Fogarty, both. We do have our own camera, and we also do contract it out if we get overwhelmed with other projects.
Okay. And my second question was just about the some of the minor repairs that can be done. Can we coordinate some of those with areas where roads are heaving and so forth, and maybe hit both of those problems at the same time?
Through the mayor to Councillor Fogarty, absolutely. We'll be looking at a lot of the issues where the roads are, again, heaving and stuff, where there's sinkholes opening up, stuff like that will be taken care of, and we'll have to match them up with the appropriate maintenance program that Jeff's laid out for us.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Fogarty. We're going to go to GM Kitlitz.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just to answer specifically, I know Councillor Sharm asked how much we do budget, and I checked the budget for Mr. O'Sullivan. Right now, for storm system repairs, we budget $50,000 a year in our contracted services under the road program is where they get handled. So that's what we have typically per year to deal with those at present.
Thank you, Councillor Wilson-Lear.
Through the mayor to administration, most of my questions have been answered in the course of this conversation and through the presentation, so thank you for that. The drainage model developed for analysis in the report was currently uncalibrated due to the lack of flow monitoring. Will planning be made to complete additional analysis? And I think you've answered that with the monitors on the manhole covers. And potential grant funding opportunities would be researched. Would they be researched for these types of more in-depth studies as we move forward with assessment and planning?
Through the mayor to Councillor Wilson here, absolutely. We will be starting to look at grant funding for any stormwater repairs we can get funding for.
Okay, and then just the one other question is in relation to coordinating offsite levies to support development. And I think you've answered this, but I'll just confirm that there will be a parallel review of our offsite levy bylaws and policies while planning in accordance with this assessment. And just a confirmation will be provided to council as to on-site stormwater retention be included as part of the requirements for development permit approval going forward.
Through the mayor to Councillor Wilson there. Yes, the stormwater project identified for the Grove will be considered in a review of and updated in our bylaw offset levies. We'll also make sure that any new development has or major changes to existing developments will require stormwater management.
Thank you very much, Mr. O'Sullivan and Councillor Wilson-Lear for your questions. Council, do you have any further questions or comments? Go ahead, Councillor Holden.
Through the mayor to administration, most of my questions were actually already answered, so that's a great process that we go through here. The only question I have is regarding the discharge rates on some of the creeks there. I know Wass Creek is currently full of downed trees and a lot of debris that's along the creek bed, especially west of the Pine Grove School. I walk that area quite often. I live on that, just off of Wass Creek. So is there any current plans to have that cleaned up so that we can maintain and up our discharge rates as needed?
Through the mayor to Councillor Holden, we'll have to look at that as part of our maintenance program within the town limits. Absolutely.
If I could tack on one thing too, the evaluation of the release rate isn't actually related to that. It's kind of a statistical analysis where you look at similar water bodies and sizes, and then that's how that release rate is determined. So what is currently in that creek won't really affect that specific number. I don't know if that was kind of adding on to what you were asking, or if I misunderstood the question, but that just something to add on.
Thank you very much for that. Any further questions, comments, concerns from council? So just a couple things here. If we look at table 13 in your presentation here, under grade 4 defects, I see there's a number of areas that actually don't have a budget estimated cost attached to it. It just says ID number 1.005. Is there a reason for that, or is that just an error with the table itself?
I need to bring up the report itself, but I think there were a few that might have been like there might have been some overlapping repairs. So when
Okay.
you go to repair the one, the other's affected. I need to double check, and I think I can.
Yeah, I actually,
if that's a sorry, go ahead.
yeah, actually that makes sense because that would correlate to things that are in grade 5 defects. So that's what those ID numbers are. I didn't catch that the first time around. So that makes perfect sense. Thanks. And the other question through to administration is, you mentioned GM Kitlitz that our budget right now is around $50,000. We are going to be going through the budget process here. Is the plan to bring back some revised numbers now that we have this data and this information? And do we have the internal capacity to complete these repairs at $50,000, $500,000 worth of repairs? We're looking at a 10-year timeline. I don't think that's really timely of us. So are we planning on doing a timeline of say 3 years or 2 years to get these repairs done?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Really good question. I think this is going to inform that. So I think we need to take this information, do some of that monitoring and some of the recommended work that the report calls for to build a proper plan for it. I agree, $50,000 might not be enough to tackle it at the rate we need to. So, but we'd like to absorb that, do some of that extra work and come up with a proper plan for that. So I think council could expect to see, not for this year's budget, maybe for 2027, though we can prepare to show some of that.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Kitlitz, for that, and Mr. O'Sullivan as well for your presentation here this evening. And thank you, Mr. Amundsen. Council, I will take a motion from the floor if there's no further questions. Go ahead, Councillor Taylor.
I move the council accepts the storm sewer condition assessment as information.
Thank you. Any further questions, comments, or concerns on the report? Seeing none, all those in favor? And that motion is carried unanimously. Thank you very much, everyone. We are going to move on to item G2, the Community Grants Program Recommendations, September 2025 intake, presented by Tanya Byers. Due to a conflict of interest, I will be removing myself from this discussion and hand over the chair to Deputy Mayor Fogarty.
All right, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Here to present tonight on the Community Grants Program recommendations for the September 2025 intake is Ms. Byers, our Community Service Manager. Welcome. Please begin your presentation.
Yeah, good evening, everyone. It's my pleasure tonight to walk you through the grant recommendations for the September intake. And so just for your awareness, in the 2025 budget, we had a budget of $55,000 total for all of our community grant program. And so for the September intake, what we had left was $25,380 to allocate. 11 applications were submitted, totaling $45,130. So it's exciting that we're getting such great uptake in our grants, but at the same time, we also don't have the funds to manage all of these requests. So difficult decisions have to be made. So the applications are reviewed and scored by a committee of 5 community services staff members. Each application is assessed individually using a grant evaluation matrix. It's quite an intense process. And once that evaluation is completed, the team of 5 comes together and we just discuss our rankings and such and make those difficult decisions, as I mentioned. So applications that request $2,500 or less, they have already been submitted to the CAO for approval, so that process has been completed. And those that are exceeding $2,500 are being presented to council for your consideration tonight. And so this slide is really just for your information, and there was a lot more information in the council package that you have already had access to review. So I'm not going to get really into detail, but these are the CAO level approval summaries that the grants that have been awarded that amount to $4,280. And so the council level approval summary, these are the ones that are up for consideration. And this slide gives you, I guess, just a broad overview that $35,550 was requested, and what's being recommended for funding is $21,100. And I'll get a little more into detail here with each of those. So the Edson and Area Homelessness Task Force, they had requested $5,000 to do transitional housing development project and study, I guess, moving them towards some of their bigger goals. We are recommending the $5,000 that they've requested. The next one is the Community Care Foundation of Edson and District. And so the Community Care Foundation and Physician Retention Campaign is what they have requested money for. $5,000 was requested, and we're recommending $4,000 be distributed to them. The Jasper House Métis District 7, the Michif Language Program, requested $4,500. We're recommending $3,000 be awarded. And the Association Supporting Choices of People Edson, their program is called the Scope Squad that they're presenting, and they had requested $4,350, and $1,000 is being recommended to help them pilot that new program. The next one being Chautauqua Arts, Edson Arts Council, and they are wanting to do the Summer Sounds concert series, I guess, throughout the summer. They requested $9,540. We are recommending $8,100 for that one. And the Uplift Studio, Elevate Edson, so expanding wellness and aerial arts access, $7,160 requested, and recommending $0 on that one. And so maybe before I get into next steps, is there any questions just from the material that you've had a chance to read and the recommendations before you?
Any questions, comments, or concerns from council? All right, hearing none, I'll let you continue.
Great, thank you. So the next steps is just reviewing the community grant procedure. And again, just for your overall awareness, this is a new grant program process that we have been using just for this year. So we've gone through the May intake and now the September one. We have definitely noticed a couple of things in there that may have been a bit of a miss that we would like to sort of clean up, I guess, for the next round. And advertising for the next grant intake period, that's going to start December 1st already. And so the next intake will close January 15th. So we'll, we don't have a lot of turnaround time by the time we award these ones and get started for 2026. And then the other thing that we do throughout that timeline is providing application readiness advice to applicants, and definitely encourage the applicants to contact us, ask us, what information do we need, what makes for a really strong application, and making sure that they get everything included, because when it comes down to it and we're using our matrix, all we can go by is what they've given us. So, we really do our best to inform the applicants ahead of time and help them along with that process, and all applicants have the ability to do that. So, and with that, that's the end of my presentation and open to questions.
Thank you very much, Ms. Byers, for your presentation. Are there any questions on any of the presentation from members of council? Questions, comments, concerns? Councillor Taylor.
Through the Deputy Mayor, Ms. Byers, thank you again for bringing us forward. Really excited to see all the grant applicants and the recipients. I think it's a very diverse group, which is great. Having sat on the FCSS board, I sort of understand a little bit of the process, the matrix that was used and that sort of thing. I think it's very similar to what this community grant programs uses, which is a very fair and objective way of doing it. You had mentioned here at the end about some possible changes. And is there anything that would have to bring back to council to change the current policy, or the more operational changes that you want to look at into the next round?
Through the chair to Councillor Taylor, I think the one thing that has really stood out to us in this round in particular is something that probably would require bringing it back and maybe altering policy is, you know, there's certain groups and such that, you know, there's qualifications, I guess, that you can or cannot apply for our grants. And in one case, what we've noticed is, you know, we are getting applicants from some of the stronger groups in our community, but some of them are already heavily funded by the town of Edson with regular operational grants that they receive on an annual basis. So, you know, I'm just going to give some examples such as the library, ESTS, the Galloway Station Museum, those sorts of groups. And because they're already funded at such a high level through our process, you know, we're feeling like because we're getting such large asks from various groups that it's difficult to continue, I guess, giving additional funding to ones that are already receiving a large amount of operational funds from the town. Yeah. You're welcome.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Fogarty. Just to also supplement, when it comes to new programs, it's our typical practice to bring it back, especially within that first year. And we would intend to likely bring this back closer to year end of this, of us actually going through this whole process. It allows us to fully understand the scope of maybe some adjustments that we may want, and there may be some adjustments that members of council also might want to see. So we would bring that back to a committee meeting later in 2026.
Any more questions, comments, concerns? My one question then would just be, and again, just for my clarification as someone who's new, what is the process to review those that have been approved after they've been completed and judge their success?
I guess to the chair. So once we have gone through the approval process, once, you know, depending on the decisions that are made tonight, we make contact with all of the groups, whether they're successful or not. They receive a letter from us, and the ones that are successful receive an agreement. And in that agreement, you know, it, I guess, lays out the expectations, such as reporting, timelines for that sort of thing, and also that, you know, if the funds aren't used appropriately, that they would be returned, or if for some reason if the program or event didn't happen, that they would return those funds, that sort of thing. So they get that agreement in place, we sign it, they sign it, and then it's just a really strong, I guess, understanding of expectations on all sides. So yeah, and then the money would be awarded, of course.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I know it's a difficult process, I'm sure, to approve some and not approve others. It can be very difficult. All right, seeing no other questions, can I ask a member of council to make a motion? Councillor Wilson-Lair.
I move that council approve the community grant recommendations totaling $21,100 as presented.
Any questions, comments, or concerns regarding the motion? Seeing none, I'll ask for a vote. All those in favor? That is carried unanimously. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. I thought the deputy mayor was going to make a motion to overthrow the mayor, so. Go ahead, Ms. Bird.
Okay. Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'm happy to be here tonight to give you an update on the YC Multiplex project. So as you all know, we are in the midst of phase 2 of construction, and current developments since our last update in September. The basement foundations and firewall construction are progressing. The elevator shaft and deep plumbing are underway, and the stair shaft is ongoing. And this is the emergency stair or the emergency exiting for the walking track, the gymnasium, and also the change rooms. This is a major structural component, so it's exciting to see this come to fruition. The structural steel delivery is scheduled for early December, and temporary heat along with a permanent gas line has also been installed The electrical conduits into the basement area for aquatics have been completed as well. So there's been a lot of foundational work been completed over the last little while to prepare us for that winter season coming upon us. So we're going to take a little walk through the site with some site photos. I'll start on the left-hand side. This is a picture of the north basement wall. So the basement will house mainly the aquatic mechanical systems. And then if we move over into the center photo, you see the view of the basement from the south. But the exciting part of this photo, it might be a little camouflaged because of the trees in the background, but that's that stair core in the background. That's exciting to see it come up, and not just groundwork happening now, but things are being erected, which is nice. And then on the right photo there, you see the firewall construction. So this firewall is going between our existing building and our new building. So that new lobby area and our existing memorial north wall. I have another slide of photos. So this is the elevator shaft on the left photo. And what I think is really cool about this photo is the cement that you see just next to the formwork of the elevator shaft. That's the main floor of our lobby. So if you're driving by the construction site and you sneak a peek through the fence, you see that main floor and you see the level of where it's going to be. And it gives you that visualization to the construction site and what the building's going to start to look like with some dirt around it. And then in the center photo there, that's the grade beam along the existing building for the new arena side of the construction. So this is where the hallway will be constructed that separates the existing building to the new arena. And then that right photo is the pile cap and grade beam for the new arena as well. So again, lots of foundational work being done in prep for that steel delivery in December. And then, so an update on our procurement and our budget. So most trade packages right now have been awarded, but there still are some under review, and those ones are listed there, the mechanical, aquatic features, and the pool tank plaster. Those are currently under review with our consultants and our project team. But at this time, any trade procurement budget variances are being managed within our design contingency, and there's no budget increase that is being requested from the project team at this stage of procurement. And on the right-hand side of this slide is a breakdown of our budget with the scopes of the different components outlined there, which hasn't changed. And this next slide, we added this in for this update out of a discussion that happened at the last update in September. I really wanted to highlight how the project team has anticipated risks and how we're mitigating those risks within the project. So we're actively managing several risks. Tariffs and material costs are currently being mitigated by avoiding U.S. products and early procurement of those products. Labor shortages are being addressed through early contractor commitments, as you could, especially with the onboarding of our construction manager at Clark Builders. The scope, design, and budget alignment are being maintained through the project team and our weekly coordination with our consultants. And the existing facility conditions, so any unknown site conditions, have been mitigated through thorough site assessments and integration into the design. And that's what I have for tonight. I'm happy to take any questions you may have.
All right, thank you. Our new council, this is the first update that they're receiving at the table, so fire away with your questions if you have any. Ooh, quiet group. Here we go. Councillor Fogarty.
Through the mayor, I guess my one question would be, how are things progressing in terms of the operating of the existing facility with all the construction, and how do you see that moving forward?
Go ahead, Ms. Bird.
Thank you, through the mayor, to Councillor Fogarty. That's a great question, and it's something that we are proactive in our operational planning and the relationship we've built with our project manager and superintendent who's on site. But as you may have seen, some things are unpredictable. So we are mitigating our operations and disruptions as they come up with that collaboration and that coordination with our consultants and our project team. We are trying our best to not disrupt operations as we move forward.
Thank you. Councillor Schramm?
Yeah, through the mayor to administration, are we on schedule?
Go ahead, Ms. Bird.
Through the mayor to Councillor Schramm. Yes, we are. Happy to report.
Thank you. Council, any further questions, comments on this project? I just mentioned, just to supplement Ms. Bird, the project management team has been very good at pivoting. So when it was wet, they shifted what work they were going to be doing in order to stay on schedule. So I'm actually pleasantly surprised. I know there was some delays in, I think, getting some materials and things like that, and they were able to adjust to mitigate that. So time, delays cost money, so we don't want to see that if at all possible. Council, anything further? Nothing. All right. Well, thank you, Ms. Bird, for your presentation, and a big shout out to, I think the public doesn't understand how much work is going on behind the scenes that they don't physically see. There's the construction on site, but there's a lot of work that happens in the background. So thanks to you and your team and everybody at the town and Yellow County for their support on this project. And I look forward to our next multiplex meeting.
Thank you.
With that, can I get a motion, please, to accept the YCE multiplex update as information? Go ahead, Councillor Psichny.
Yeah, I move that council accept the YCE multiplex update as information.
Thank you. Any further questions, comments, or concerns? Seeing none, all those in favor? That motion is carried unanimously. Thank you very much. All right, so we're going to move on to council committee reports, and as council has been informed, we are going to be moving into written reports this term. Forms will be sent out to councilors here soon, so they can submit that in the process for that, just in order to make sure meetings are moving more efficiently and effectively. You'll still have the opportunity to highlight things if you need to and ask questions. But for today, we are going to still do a verbal report. So basically how we do this is you just queue up your mic, and I will put you live if you have anything to report. So who would like to start first? Councillor Psichny.
And we're going back to September 10th?
We are going to go back to September 10th, yes.
All right. So September 10th, Chamber of Commerce meeting. September 16th, we had a preliminary budget meeting. September 22nd, Youth Council selection meeting. October 7th, YCE Steering Committee meeting. October 15th, Chamber of Commerce meeting. Then post-election, 22nd of October, we had our council transition day. 23rd was Council Orientation Day. 23rd was the Chamber of Commerce Business Awards. So it was technically my last official duty before our council meeting the next week. 27th was council's, what do we call that one? Council Transition Day. The 28th was our swearing-in ceremonies. 28th was a regular council meeting. And November 3rd, we had our first youth council meeting with our brand-new youth council. That was my report.
Thank you. Who would like to go next? Councillor Wilson-Lear.
Okay, so on October 22nd, it was our council transition day post-election. Orientation, I attended on October 23rd and October 27th. Attended the Edson Chamber Awards on October 27th with fellow members of council. And then on November 3rd, I attended the FCSS board meeting. The board provided service level overview and program updates. New members were provided with strategic plan and upcoming advisory board goals, as well as onboarding information for my review. A new chair and vice chair were elected, and the meeting schedule was tentatively set. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anybody else? Councillor Taylor? Go ahead.
Going back to September 16th was a budget workshop. September 17th I had Homelessness Task Force. Lots of progress has been made over the last several months. Some new and exciting things are happening. We have a new chair, that's Laura Walton, as the chair of our task force, and we have a new executive director, it's Christine Gamalka. We're also putting out a newsletter, so members of council, you'll be getting a newsletter every few months about some of the updates that are happening within the task force. On September 17th, I had a library board meeting. The 22nd, I had an FCSS meeting. Just a couple of updates there that the Men's Shed is taking on the Santa Claus Parade. So we're looking forward to that at the end of this month. On October 7th, I had interviews for FCSS new members. On the 14th, I have interviews for both the library board and FCSS new members. On the 15th, I had a Homelessness Task Force meeting with David Carr, who's a senior policy advisor for Minister Nixon, and we had a great conversation about, he was getting some information about what the task force is and what the provincial government's vision is for homelessness into a recovery model. We had some great questions, great conversations, and you'll see where this goes from here. Into the 17th, I had a Homelessness Task Force meeting where we decided that to pursue this sort of recovery model that the province is advocating for. And also, in addition to that, we're also looking at doing an encampment response plan. So we have, first off, we submitted a proposal to the provincial government for a recovery model to get some funding from them to train people within the community regarding the recovery, to train individuals that can be recovery experts to help homeless people in the community. And with the encampment response plan, we have our first meeting, I think, tomorrow night to create a plan about what happens when there is an encampment, what the response is in the aftermath, how community groups can coordinate resources to ensure we're not just playing encampment whack-a-mole, that we knock down an encampment and another one pops up. We want to coordinate resources better to do that. On the 22nd, 23rd, and 27th, I had council orientation, along with an organizational meeting on the 28th, and the Chamber Awards on the 23rd. And that is my report.
Thank you. Anybody else? Councillor Fogarty.
I attended the council orientation days with the members of other councils, the committee meeting last week, and yesterday Councillor Pisichny and I attended the first youth council meeting, where the focus was mainly on meeting the new members of council, youth council, and them starting to brainstorm for project ideas and next steps moving forward for their year.
All right. Thank you, Councillor Fogarty. Councillor Holden.
Yeah, on October 22nd and 23rd, we had council orientation, along with the 27th. On the 23rd, I believe it was, we attended the Chamber of Commerce Awards night. On the 28th, we had our swearing-in ceremony, our organizational meeting, and our first regular council meeting. In between then and now, I have reached out to both the committees, the Chamber of Commerce, the Community Features West Yellowhead for the orientation day that Councillor Wilson-Lehrer and myself will be attending. I've also spoken with the Yellowhead Synergy Group and got the scheduled meeting times for the next year. I have reached out also to West Fraser Public Advisory Committee, just scheduling their for this upcoming meeting schedule. Thank you.
Thank you. And we'll go to Councillor Schramm.
Yeah, participated in the council orientation, 22nd, 23rd, 27th of October. Also attended the Chamber of Small Business Awards on the 23rd. October 28th was the swearing-in ceremony, organizational meeting, and first council meeting. That's all I have to report.
Thank you very much. For myself, going back to September 10th, the Attraction Retention Committee meeting was the AGM as well. Crystal Chachka will be remaining as chair, and Crystal Hallbolt is the vice chair of that committee. The Integration Committee reported that they integrated 16 healthcare workers into our community so far. So those are nurses and other professionals in our community. We also have had, of course, the Healthcare Hero Awards. There's been some other work done to recognize the work of our healthcare professionals in this community in order to better retain them and show that our community does support healthcare in our community. The attraction of physicians continues to be a challenge. There has been advertising done in the British Medical Journal. We went to the conference in Winnipeg. When I say we, members of the committee, as well as the Mayor of Yellowhead County attended. Unfortunately, that hasn't produced much in results for our community. So discussions ongoing about how we better advocate. Obviously, we have Alberta Munis next week, so be looking to advocate to ministers on our behalf on that. And there continues to be a real big struggle with Hinton ER being closed, which puts pressure on our hospital. And there have been cases where both ERs have been closed. They try to avoid that as much as possible, but sometimes that has occurred, which really makes for some difficult situations for those that are seeking medical care. And housing continues to be a concern when it comes to bringing locums or physicians in. We do have the doctor's house that we own with Yellowhead County, but we can only really have one physician in there at a time. It's not set up for multiple people. So discussion on how we can better support that process and get the housing that we need in order to bring some of these professionals into our community. Right now we have some locums that are renting basement suites from other medical professionals and that sort of thing. So and I should note, because I think there's, talking to people in the community, locums work both at the hospital and at the clinic, and they're paid for through different mechanisms. Locums don't just go to the ER; they also are helping support our medical clinic at this time as well. So, big concern, obviously, for our region, and I've had conversations, obviously, with the mayor of the county as well as our new mayor in Hinton, and looking at ways how we can work together to better advocate on this region's behalf. On the 16th, had the budget meeting, youth council selection meeting on the 22nd. From the 24th to the 26th, CO Beveridge and I attended the Alberta Forest Products Association conference in Jasper, which I know that our local forestry industry was very happy to see representation from our municipality there. And it was really a great conference. CO Beveridge was able to present and had a really good turnout at one of the presentations that she did in terms of wildfire emergencies, as well as female leadership and the things that she does on a day-to-day basis, as well as talking about the Choose Edson website. She let the cat out of the bag there, so I think there's going to be a Choose Drayton Valley next, a Choose Hinton, but it's really it was really well received. We were able also to connect with some folks from NATE, so building some relationships with post-secondary and with other industry as well. And the Minister of Infrastructure was doing a presentation on building with wood, and he used he used Edson as an example. Don't build fancy, build square boxes, not things that are round and cost a lot of things. I can't do the Councillor Pisichny impression, but it was really, really good. So I do thank Weyerhaeuser for the invite to attend that meeting. October 6th, the West Yellowhead Regional Waste Management budget meeting. The budget for the Regional Waste Management Authority will be remaining relatively the same. There'll be a small increase. Lots of material has been brought in from Jasper, obviously, which has impacted revenues for the authority in a positive light, which will help pay for future cell expansion. On the 15th, I had a virtual meeting with a representative from CN to talk about the upgrades here in Edson. As you've seen in the CN rail yard, they're doing lots of upgrades and along the highway corridor, increasing capacity, as well as working together on a more coordinated approach to the fireworks display in town. Anybody that was at Canada Day this year got to enjoy the fireworks display stopping halfway through. So hopefully we'll see a better display at Light Up this year through coordination with CN. Orientation on the 22nd, 23rd. Then headed to Edmonton for a meet and greet, a speech from the Throne event in Edmonton. We're able to talk to the Minister of Indigenous Relations, Minister of Service Alberta, various MLAs, and some really good conversations with representatives from Tourmaline as well. On the 25th, was able to join the Edson RCMP traffic unit on a ride-along. Lots of high speeds in our area. And then on the 27th, orientation and the swearing in and regular council meeting on the 28th, along with organizational. And that is my report. And this is why we are moving to a written report. With that, if there's no questions on council committee reports, we will move on to information items. We have the Edson RCMP Q2 report. Can I get a motion, please, to accept the Q2 report for information, please? Go ahead, Councillor Fogarty.
I move that council accept the November 4th, 2025 information items as set out in attachments number 1 to number 3 for information.
Thank you. Any questions, comments, concerns on the report? Seeing none, all those in favor? That motion is carried unanimously. We have no notices of motion, no closed meeting session, no business arising from closed. So with that, I will adjourn this meeting at 8:06. Thank you, everyone.